Welcome to The Real Money Show, the number 18778 Silver, and the website guildhallwealth.com. My name is Jeremy Wiseman. I'm joined by Jerry Correia, and it's going to be probably a fast-paced show. Jerry's already yammering at me of all the things that are going on. I'm not even sure where we're going to start, but we're going to talk about why you need to get involved in the silver market specifically now, why you should not be waiting at all. We want to look at the market for metals compared to other markets that are out there. We want to look at the gains potentials. We'll touch on inflation a little bit, but not a whole lot. We don't want to bore you this week on that. Talk about some usages. Maybe even talk about, perhaps borrowing money to do and to get involved in the physical gold and silver market. Some exciting news in the pink diamond market as well. And Jerry, we were just talking before we jumped on air about the Fed and tapering, as well with the summit that they've been having and this idea of cutting off CO2s. A lot of economic information seems to be outside the realm of reality and not paying attention to reality, as if we can just, that's it, we'll turn off a light switch and no more carbon, no more oil. But you were telling me earlier about what's happening with regard to the gold and silver mining sphere, the industry. Yeah. Can you let our audience know what you know about this?
Well, what we do know is that there's been a lot of merging and a lot of acquisitions within the gold community. A lot of gold mining companies are acquiring others because it's becoming more difficult and the costs are going up, and you need to go deeper. And as we know, this week there was a lot of meetings. There was the Fed meeting, there was the G20 last week, and then we had the COP26, the carbon meeting. It was a snooze fest, apparently.
Well, I mean, the Queen didn't show up.
Yeah.
Apparently she was supposed to go, and China didn't go and Russia didn't go. So that tells you how much they're interested. So why are we playing ball when people aren't on the field?
Right. So they're blasting carbon emissions out. Coal is being fired up. Coal is being bid all over the world. But at this summit, we want to cut that, and we want to cut carbon emissions. And as a result, there was a report coming out of the Precious Metals Weekly, issue 429, that they, according to the report, they estimate shareholder cash cost, which is the cost to mine some gold out of these many mines, is about $15.40 US per ounce for the group of companies. Now, if they tax all of these mines, and this is what they want to do, initiate a carbon tax. We know Canada's already paying that, Australia's already paying that, but blanketing this tax across the world, this is going to cut their margins by 45%. On top of they're paying dividends, they have to pay about $200 towards dividends, repaying debt and other corporate activity. So what do you have left over from these mines? They're going to go out of business. They cannot thrive during this time. So what they're going to have to do is they'll have to cut supply potentially in the gold and silver markets. To do that, we're talking about supply and demand here. This is a major development as far as supply and demand go. But how is the mining going to feed into the green revolution and the solar revolution and the new Green Deal? You just cut that off, apparently, right, Jeremy?
Right. Yeah. The solar panels aren't going to build themselves.
No.
They're going to be made out of plastic, so you're going to need petroleum products.
Yeah.
And there's going to be lots of different elements inside, particular silver. It's one of the most used elements in modern technologies across the board, anything digital, anything electronic. So if you're going to have more difficulty acquiring that, how are you going to make these things? Do you remember we did a show, I don't know, I guess it was like 2 months back, maybe 3 months back, maybe longer, where we were saying all of these intelligent, reputable sources around the world saying this Green Deal is going to drive the market for oil massively higher. Like, how can it not drive the price of oil sky high? And also, how can it not drive the price of silver sky high? What are you going to put in these solar panels? Copper?
No,
right?
It will not work. You need solar. You need silver to make a solar panel. Silver is a very unique element, a very unique metal, and unfortunately, silver is the only metal that can be used for solar panels.
So let's talk about the silver market. I don't understand why not everybody already owns physical silver. It is so cheap, and there's not a lot of things out there that have the potential that silver does. I mean, you just pointed on one Simple, plain fact. If you want to go green, you're going to need more of this stuff. And going green means you're going to put regulations on the mining that's going to make it even harder to get. It's a win-win for the price of the metals. It's a win-win. And how are you going to pay all these carbon taxes and all of this cost of stuff, right? You have to make more money.
Yeah.
You have to make more money. And you have to somehow, and so the question becomes, what do you think? Honestly, I'll ask you, we'll ask the listeners. What do you think? Crypto, Bitcoin, you think it's going to go from 70 to 140,000? Think it's going to go to 300,000? Like, are we talking about another 5 times up from here? It's already done the move. You've missed it. You missed it. If you didn't buy it at 100 and you didn't buy it at $1,000 or $3,000, okay, you've missed it. What are you looking for now? You're looking to buy in at 70,000 and get it to go double from here? Same thing with the Dow. It's trading at 36,000 points. What are you hoping for? Literally, ask your brokers, ask your advisor. I'm not an advisor. You're not an advisor. But what are you hoping for here? It's gone up straight for what, 12, 13 years, and you're expecting what? Is it going to go from 36,000 to 72,000 points in the next 10 years? And is that what the hope is? Is that what you're hoping? What about real estate? Your house has already gone from 600,000 to 1.3. Wait, you expecting it to go to 2.6? Is that we're going to double our money again in the next 10 years? Not going to happen. Start looking for opportunities. What can you buy for $35? Okay. I looked up just a couple quick examples for you, Jerry.
Please share.
You cannot buy a butterball turkey for $35. How about that? Can't buy gas.
No.
Right? You're filling up maybe half a tank if you've got quite the economic car, but you can't do it. I don't even know if you can get a pizza delivery for under $35 unless you're gonna stick the guy on the tip, right? What about taking someone to the movies?
Impossible. No.
Now, I love popcorn, right? I want to have your popcorn, but you probably are going to have to skip that if you want to get in under $35. So tell me, what is that cheap? What is trading at under its all-time high from 1980? Nothing.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
When you have the bullet points for silver, the fundamentals aside, this is just plain old common sense. When you need something in every single attribute, every single industry, anything that has a switch requires silver. Not only that, you have major industrial buyers, JP Morgan institutional buyers holding physical. The very nature of what drove the stock market up was low interest rates and stimulus at a point where we're reducing the stimulus. We're reducing and we're potentially raising interest rates. So where is the tap? Where is the continuous stimulus coming from? And every asset class that has doubled and tripled, like you mentioned, the Dow, these were all recipients, all beneficiaries of this crazy monetary policy. We can look to Japan. They're going to establish even more stimulus. They're probably on quantitative easing number 12. And look at their currency. Look at the situation there. With the U.S., the FOMC was this past week, and it was on Wednesday. And basically what we need to know is the Fed announced their taper. They finally announced that November we're going to see tapering. Let's unwrap that. What else did he mention? Fed Powell said basically he confirmed that tapering could be limited to just November and December.
What's the point?
It's really a signal that just a switch,
a slight adjustment,
slight adjustment, and it to appease the inflation narrative. And the inflation narrative is you're printing too much. You need to turn that tap down a bit. Well, they're turning the tap down only by 15 billion. So they're still printing en masse. They're still hyperinflating their money, and they're only going to cut it for 2 months. Okay, maybe 3 months.
Unless there's a taper tantrum.
Well, that's exactly
maybe
what
they're
happened
hoping by
before.
saying it's only going to be for a very, very short amount of time. You live with it because, hey, we're doing what we said we were going to do, so please give us some credibility. But we're telling you right now, our taper is transitory.
And what happened right after the statement? Well, gold and silver spiked up sharply during the customary gold price takedown on the COMEX in the hours leading up to the release of the policy statement. So every time you see an FOMC, good time to buy, and then watch the prices take off. But once the Fed Once the Fed stops this taper, like they did before, this transitory taper, and reverses and starts printing more money, it's going to likely be up over and above 120 billion per month. The gold and the silver will do a moonshot. Daily FX, a reputable foreign exchange website that I go on to because I trade FX, wrote their analysis shows that gold is in for a year-end rally. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Now we have to bring in the technicals. We hit over 2,000, an all-time high last summer. We did a 61% retracement, a perfect Fibonacci retracement, Jeremy. And now we're back to 18. We are back to 18, and sky is the limit. So yes, what are we waiting for? And what does whatever gold does, silver does on steroids. It's like stimulus. So when silver back in 2008 and 2009, we saw it around $8. Where did it end up? It did a 4x moonshot to 49.50. This is the opportunity. But right now, it's taken longer. Yes, patience
Coiled
is
spring.
running thin. Yeah, it's a coiled spring. Our patience is running thin. Congratulations for those who kept up. We're still up, but we're waiting for the moonshot. And the longer something consolidates, David Morgan says, the higher and the more ferocious the peak. And this peak in silver is going to be something that we've never, ever seen. So take this opportunity today.
These opportunities come along very, very rarely. If you've taken advantage of opportunities in other markets and you've made money, fantastic. Now look for something that's completely undervalued. Look at the timing aspect of this. We're going to talk about that timing aspect in the next segment. The number 18778 silver, the website guildhallwealth.com. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family to get involved. Seeing is believing. You don't want to wait until silver's trading at $100 an ounce to finally say, you know what, now I'll get involved. This is the time to get in. We're going to tell you why in the next segment. Again, the number 18778 silver, the website guildhallwealth.com. We're talking about silver and gold, why the time is now. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family to get involved in this market. If you've never touched the physical gold and silver market, go to our e-store, guildhallpreciousmetals.com. Pick up a little bit. Just get a little skin in the game to understand what this is all about before you move forward with maybe larger acquisitions. But you can buy directly. We store it for clients as well. And you can even own physical gold and silver in registered accounts. These are the type of products, by the way, that if you decided at some point down the road, you know what, I want to take delivery of this, guess what? You can do it. No issues. You might pay withholding tax, but it's your product. You've already paid to own this particular physical product, the products with the serial numbers on it. These are yours. The inventory report that you receive shows exactly what you're holding. So if you decided, you know what, I'm going to test the system, or you know what, I need to have this on my person, you can take physical delivery of it. Try looking at the prospectus and other types of quote unquote investments, and you'll see that taking delivery is not as easy as you think. But this isn't an investment. You're buying your own physical product. There's no counterparty risk. You own it. Mm-hmm. It's ownership. It's not investment. There's no counterparty. So let's talk a little bit about timing, Jerry. I heard this from someone on a video, and it kind of reminded me of, oh yeah, I need to let all of our listeners know this because it's such great perspective. If you look at what gold and silver did over the last 2 years, both of them performed just under 60%. Whether you're looking at Canadian or US dollars, both performed just under 60% over a 2-year period. And we're down on both of these metals 10%, maybe even slightly less. I think gold, it's 7% in US dollars.
Right.
Well, when is the best time to buy? If you're buying it now when it's down 7-8%, and you know that it costs 7-8% to acquire it because of the premiums, etc., shouldn't you be buying it now? Why would you wait until it's up 7% in against the year, right? And I think for me personally, I truly feel you can sense what's going on in the market. There's a lack of physical supply. The premiums are really high. The demand is there. Everybody and their grandmother can see inflation.
Yeah.
It's no one's hiding it. It's not like we have to explain how it works in an insidious manner of, the government says it's 2%, but it's actually 5%. And that means every 10 years you're losing 50%. We don't have to do that.
No.
People go to the store. They go, what?
It's there.
How much is that? What was my grocery bill? How much did it cost to go out for dinner? It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Everyone can see it. So don't have to worry about that, but everyone's seeing it and getting involved in the market. So the question is why haven't you? Mm-hmm. Why isn't everybody and their grandmother getting involved? Although we do have grandmothers getting involved. I will say congratulations to some grandmothers out there who are getting involved in the market, because everyone is getting involved. Mm-hmm. Everyone. The question is why aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we know who is buying. Worried foreign central banks are boosting their gold reserves, and why. So we have Serbia, Hungary, Thailand, France, Germany. They've added gold to their reserves in recent months. Brazil even bought 41 tons recently. Canada, 0. But this heavy accumulation begs the question, why? There is a distrust of the U.S. Federal Reserve note, aka the dollar. And the dollar is on a steep decline. The U.S. is going full speed ahead with his own financial reckless path. Their government debt now totals 120% to GDP. And they're printing 105 billion now a month for the next 2 months, and back to 130. So the thing is, what we need to know is gold has a negative correlation to this US dollar. And this is the reason why. It's very simple. It's a currency play for these central banks, and it should be for us. What are we waiting for? Could be the fact that many people are owning mining shares. They may think that this mining share that I own It's perfect. This is what I need to pad my portfolio, to provide my safe haven.
And maybe even your advisor is saying, "Oh no, we've got an option here for you. You can do mining stocks." But here's the thing: if I need insurance, okay, I don't buy stock in State Farm, right? It's as simple as that. If I need insurance, I don't buy stock in Fidelity.
No,
I actually have to go out and get a policy.
That's right. What is the policy?
The policy is physical gold.
Exactly.
You have to own the actual physical asset, because then that becomes the insurance.
Yes.
So physical gold, not paper gold, not someone else's ownership of gold, but you don't really own it. That's all counterparty. That's risk. That's not insurance. Insurance means I'm the holder of it.
And we saw a real life example this week. Shortly after the Fed spoke, the US dollar started to rise. However, gold started to rise at the same time. So gold is not buying this negative correlation to the US. Gold is still moving up. We saw the loonie drop, and we're seeing gold and silver moving up on the day by a percent, 1.5% on that day alone. And a ticker that we follow, I'm not sure if you trade these ETFs at all. It's a precious metals. It's called JNUG. It's an ETF that's junior miners. The interesting thing was these junior miners, which normally goes 3x to the 1%. So if silver's up 1%,
yes,
JNUG will go up 3%. It's a 3x. It's a leverage play.
And let's just remind people, you're not an advisor.
I'm not an advisor. This is what we do.
This is your own personal portfolio we're discussing.
We watch it. We watch these things, but JNUG was down. Why? Why were the mining shares down while gold and silver were going up? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Well, this is counterparty risk. This is checking out, as Jeremy mentioned before, checking out the prospectus. What does the prospectus say? These companies, these mining shares, just heard there could be a carbon tax. This mining company just heard, hey, they're tapering. They're going to start taking the credit away from what we need. And have a look at their balance sheets for many of these mining shares. We love mining shares, some of them, but many of them are weak. Their balance sheets are not that healthy. And in a time when there could be a liquidity crisis, a credit crunch, credit crisis, currency collapse, you need counterparty risk elimination. You need to buy the physical asset, the very thing what these mining companies are looking for. Get that nugget, and you need that nugget today.
The number 18778 silver and the website guildhallwealth.com. People are crazy not to get involved in this market right now. They're really nuts. If you look at this opportunity and say screw it, not for me. I'd rather continue to own these stocks, etc. Ask yourself, can those things drop precipitously? What you're holding, is it overvalued? Is it good value? And I'm not saying there's not other options out there. I'm just saying, look at the precious metals purely from an undervalued perspective, purely from the coiled spring perspective. Look at the premiums as an example. Why would the premium on silver, when 2 years ago you could buy a 100-ounce bar for $1.20 over spot, be $3.50 over spot all of a sudden? The only reason that is because there's not enough physical supply to match the demand for the product, and the paper price is not reconciling. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that even if, huge Even if the price of silver, the paper price of silver, were to drop from $24 US an ounce, spot price, to $10, you're not going to be able to buy it for $10. That happened in 2019. The price of silver was $18 an ounce. It got kicked down to $12 an ounce. I was like licking my lips, saying, let's get in. And I couldn't buy it for less than 18.
I know.
So the proof is in the pudding. This is a physical market, and you need to be part of the physical market. Now let's look at the upside. Again, if you were to look at just a couple examples, okay? In 1980, when gold hit the peak, okay? Gold in the last major bull market, we look at the bull market from 2001 to, let's say, 2013 as sort of a smaller bull market within a bigger bull market that we're currently experiencing. But in 1980, gold hit $850 an ounce. Now the Dow was trading at 850 points. And I think, if memory serves, they were talking about, I think Time magazine put out an article at that point, like the end of the Dow, because it hit an all-time low. But that's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if the Dow was trading at 36,000 points, and even if you were to say it comes back 30%, that's 25,000 points. Now, if we hit a 1-to-1 ratio on that, that's $25,000 gold. If we hit 2-to-1, that's still over 12,000, right? If you hit 4-to-1, you're still looking at multiple thousands of dollars. Now, in 2011, gold hit 4-to-1 against the Dow. It's currently trading 20-to-1 against the Dow. That's 20 ounces of gold to buy the Dow at 35,000 points. And then once you start thinking about the ratio between gold and silver, the historic ratio between gold and silver, it's 16-to-1. Now, we're trading, I think, somewhere in the 70 range. Again, 2011, the last sort of big peak in the market, it got down to 35. All right? So, I mean, even $4,000 an ounce gold at 35-to-1 ratio is $114 silver. Right? That's 3 times from here.
Still undervalued.
Right?
Still undervalued. And you talk about pullback. If we have a pullback, we have today on the wire Keith Neumeyer, First Majestic, holding back silver ounces. The next time these paper shenanigans tries to pull that, they will stop the flow out of physical. And if you cannot have the physical backing up your ETF or your certificate, if it's not there, well, guess what? Those ETFs will go belly up. So the issue that we see today is the physical supply. And the physical supply is running year over year, 5 years straight, of less and less supply coming out of the ground. And with costs going up, a potential tax going up, they're not going to let their margins fry. These mining companies. The prices have one way to go, and the prices are going to be heading much, much higher, especially knowing that we are in an era of inflation, lack of growth, which is stagflation, and the US dollar decline. Gold performs during stagflation. Silver will perform during stagflation. So these ratios are very exciting. We could pull how many ratios to support the gold and the silver argument for a lot higher. And the one that we love is a silver to gold ratio. I see silver to gold ratio heading back to 12-to-1 personally, and that will put silver probably around the $400 to $600 mark. Some are calling much higher than that.
Yeah, some are calling for way higher than that, and you've just laid out the fundamental reason why it could go that way. You know, if you're going to have all these restrictions, you already have lack of mine supply out the gate anyway, then the prices can only continue to go higher and higher and higher for those mining companies to say, okay, now we've got the margins that we can say, yeah, we can mine it. In the meantime, looking at the supply demand aspect of it and the lack of the ability to get a good quantity of product at any given time, especially to service the smaller clients, you know, those 10-ounce bars, those kilo bars. Luckily we've got some maples right now, but those could vanish in a hurry, because we've seen that happen. It's like you get in a nice big order of maples, and then within a week or two, it's like they're all gone, because you have a couple people say, I want some monster boxes, and you say, okay. And then literally, and it's so funny, right? Because we always end up with our last box, right?
It just shines.
And,
yeah.
It's just
like,
shine. And you're just like,
illuminated.
someone ordered 25, a tube of 25. Someone just ordered 2 tubes, and you're literally down to your last tube. And then we somehow get another order. Like Paul he's good with numbers that way and and managing all of that. Let's stay on all of this. Let's just continue to talk about why the metals are, the timing of this. I want to stick on the timing, why it's so good right now. You have to look into this market. If you've never gotten involved in this market and you've been listening to us since 2008, what are you waiting for at this point? You need to call us. You need to get involved. You need to start small. Yeah. Go to the e-store, Guildhall Precious Metals, pick up some 10-ounce bars, pick up an ounce of gold, get a sense of what this market really is and what it means to have and feel physical gold in your portfolio, in your hands. And then look at other options. Look at the RSPs, look at TFSAs, look at our storage options as well. Get involved today. The number 18778 silver and the website guildhallwealth.com. You're listening to The Real Money Show. We'll be right back. You know, if you're listening to us in your car, there's lots of silver in there. If you're listening on your computer, there's silver in there. If you walked into your kitchen to turn on that computer, there was silver in the light switch. It's on your iPad. It's in your TV. It's your computer, your cell phone. It's everywhere. Medical usages out the wazoo. They use it to naturally absorb bacteria. So it's in athletic clothing. It was originally a military technology, but you know, hey, want to make sure that your gym clothes don't smell? Buy clothes with some silver lining in it. It'll absorb the bacteria and absorb those smells. Oh. Why did they say born with the silver spoon in your mouth? Mm-hmm. Because it naturally absorbed bacteria. And if you were rich enough, then your mom stuck the silver spoon in your mouth.
And
it
you
was
were
simple
called
as
blue
that.
blood, yeah.
I didn't know that. The Romans drop a silver coin into their milk and walked off, and it would last that much longer. From what I understand, it's in your Brita filter so that it doesn't collect algae, right? You ever wonder, oh, how does that stuff like, how come there's no green stuff growing in my water filters? Silver does that. So silver for water purification, batteries, solar power, transition lenses, mirrors. Look around all the skyscrapers, all the condos, silver. It's all, you know, and conducts electricity. Speaking of which, I took some silver to a client, and, you know, first-time clients are always a little, hey, how do I know it's real, right? So she had
it's a good question.
It's a great question. And she said, oh, you know what? I was reading up on this, and apparently if you put an ice cube on silver, because of sort of the electronic conductivity of it, or I should just say the conductivity of it, man, this thing just shook and melted instantly.
What?
Yeah, go try it when you go home.
I gotta do this right now, yeah.
Yeah, anyone with silver, okay, you've been listening to us talking to people who are new. Yeah. We want to get new people involved, but that's your takeaway today.
We can
if you currently
experiment.
own silver, go grab an ice cube and tell us what you saw. Because we literally put one ice cube on like a granite counter, and it just sat there. Yeah. We put it on top of the silver, and it just went.
Wow!
It was crazy. It was pretty fun. So just looking at the usages, the idea of it's everywhere, which means it's not just money, right? Although in many languages it is money, right? Like argent in French,
Kisef,
silver. It's not only money, but it's industrially used. So we have so many good reasons to have it in our portfolio. And when we understand just how undervalued it is, you say, how can I not have this in my portfolio? And the question is where can it go? And is it not ever going to rise? No, it's going to rise. It could go tomorrow. It could go next week. It could go next month, but it's going to go. And when it goes, it's going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. And once it gets to 50, that's when people say, oh, seeing is believing. It's now at its all-time high. Now I believe it, although you've missed 100%. Now I believe it. Now I'll get involved, which means a whole bunch of new people are going to get involved because finally they see the results and they're willing to lose those gains to get into it a little later because they now see it and they believe it. And, but we talked about some ratios. There is nothing stopping silver from going into multiple hundreds.
That's right.
If not thousands. Mm-hmm. And you sit there and people go, oh, that's crazy. No, it could never do that. You say, oh, really? Have you seen Tesla? Mm-hmm. All of the other car companies aren't near that.
Right.
And there's a lot more cars from BMW on the road than Teslas.
Very true.
So how is that? How is that?
How does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Again, look at housing. How did it get there? Oh, low interest rates and people borrowed. Let me ask you a question. Should people borrow money to buy metals right now?
Absolutely. And when you have the opportunity to still borrow money at a really good rate, although the rates are moving up, it is a good opportunity to, if you're in the market, to potentially refinance, pull some equity out of your house. For those who deal with me personally, I've been helping a lot of individuals. I have done that myself. It was a time for me to renew, and I'm like, you know what? It's so super cheap. I'm happy my property value went up. Let's just pull some equity out. And I bought myself, not myself, I bought my family 2,000 ounces of silver, because I do know 1980, 2,000 ounces, bought a home, and I'm using this to pay off the rest of my mortgage and buy a house, become mortgage free. I owed it to my family. The listeners, you owe it to your family to do this as well. It is possible. You can talk to me about refinancing. I'm a licensed mortgage agent as well. I do it on the side. You could talk to me about that. I can give you some good discounts on the metals if you want to do that. But it's an opportunity that you can take. People refinance all the time for investment purposes. That's part of the reasons why you can refinance, if you want to pull some equity out and drop it into something else. But where? You need to own something that is undervalued to make this worthwhile. I know an accountant next door, Jeremy. I door knocked one day. I was actually bored. I was, first or second year here, and cold calling was our thing. So I'm like, let me sharpen myself. Let me go next door and door knock, introduce myself with a silver maple. That bought me a seat to sit down in front of a CFA, CPA, all the acronyms, all the letters behind his name. He's like, Jerry, I have six doors, 6 properties all over northern and southern Ontario, Blue Mountains, you name it. I need to hedge my mortgage exposure with physical silver. Starting that point, he started to buy a physical silver, exact ratio. I can share that ratio later if you want to contact me, but there is a ratio that he can share as to how many ounces you need to offset your mortgage. Because there will be a credit issue. There always is a liquidity issue. Look at the risks coming out of Chinese property stocks. All of them are cut in half. Kaisa misses a payment. Fantasia, all of these major developers.
Oh yeah, we talked about it last week about Evergrande. We said, their CEO paid or whatever, and he didn't. That was fake news. We got caught up in it.
Yeah. Well, the junk bond yields hit an all-time high as property default contagion spreads in China. If it happens there, it's happening in Australia. Everyone in Australia we know are uber loving real estate. There's no other asset class besides real estate. Well, it's coming back to roost. This property issue, it's at an all-time high, and household debt. You need to do something with the debt. So you could do something creative like taking some equity and buying some silver. It's a great idea.
The dominoes are about to fall. We're going to talk about just how high silver can go and what that could mean if you own a few hundred ounces, if you own a couple thousand ounces. What is the potential by owning this portion of metals in your portfolio? We're not saying own all of it. We're just saying, what if you dipped a toe in the water? What if you got just the 10% of your portfolio allocated into precious metals? We're not advisors, but we believe in this opportunity. We think it's going to be incredible. So take a look at it. The number 18778 silver, the website guildhallwealth.com. And by the way, if we're a little slow getting back to you, it's because we're very, very busy. We appreciate your patience, but we are getting to all of the people who are contacting us. And if you feel like we're not getting back to you in time, just give us a call directly. We're happy to talk to you. Sort of the first person in front of us kind of tends to get the attention. The number 18778 silver, the website guildhallwealth.com. Welcome back to the Real Money Show. The number 18778 silver and the website guildhallwealth.com. The moment is now. Don't wait any longer. The prices of metals are down about 7 to 9% this year, and that is the opportunity. We want to see people get involved when it's low, not when it's up 10% on the year. This is the time. This is the time to get in. It's cheaper now, and we don't know how much longer the window is going to be open for silver and gold down 10% on the year. Things can happen in a snap in this market. It could go so much higher, so much quicker. Jerry, I wanted to start this last segment with just looking at some of those ratios and seeing where this market could go. Because I mentioned the idea that Okay, the Dow's trading at 36,000 points. Is it going to double from here over the next couple of years? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. Unless there's like a crazy hyperinflation.
It could.
Right? In which case, yeah, then it's going up, but what's it actually worth? So, okay, you buy 2,000 ounces of silver. It's going to cost you about $75,000. If the Dow fell 30%, you're looking at 24,500 points. If you hit a 4-to-1 ratio like gold did in 2011, that would be $6,125 an ounce gold at the 35. So I'm just matching what gold and silver did in 2011.
Looking at the record, yeah.
That's what happened. The Dow came down 40%. Gold hit 4-to-1. Silver hit 35-to-1. That wasn't the peak of the gold market because obviously silver's continuing to rise.
So it's not like it's not like it never happened. This is actually, facts.
Exactly. So at that point, a 4-to-1 ratio, that puts silver at $175 an ounce. And if you've got 2,000 ounces in the market, Jerry, what is that? $350,000 for a $70,000 investment. Now, here's where it gets good. Okay, like in 1980, if you get to even a 2-to-1 ratio, that's $12,250 an ounce gold, which you're buying right now for 2,400 Canadian. That's $12,000 just on 1 ounce of gold alone. It would put silver, if it was 35-to-1 ratio, you're looking at $350 silver. That $70,000 investment's worth $700,000. Imagine having that in your RSP. Imagine going from
or TFSA.
A portfolio worth $100,000 and all of a sudden, bang, over a very short period, it's worth $700,000.
And that was a 35% ratio?
That was the 35. If we hit 16-to-1, do you know what 2,000 ounces is going to be worth? $1.5 million.
And there's the real estate transaction. You've paid your mortgage off and you've bought a new house.
And potentially your kids now going to private school if they want.
Well, I think we do owe it to our family. I mean, many of our investors come to us and they're looking at not just for themselves, they want to do this for their families. And I think this is a topic of conversation that we have to have. There are many, things. The wall seems to be closing in on our families. Many people are looking to pivot away from Canada. How many clients have decided to leave? I had 3. All entrepreneurs. The timing is now. The timing is, I think it's already passed, but you know what? We have the silver and gold, so give us a call. We want to get you invested. Start small if you have to start small, but if you're looking at, if you have a sizable portfolio, you need to start thinking of, if this market goes, where you can pivot to any currency that you'd like to go to with silver and gold. You can go to Swiss franc, you can go to Japanese yen, you can go to a new currency. You're never stuck. You can go directly into property. You can do that. So these are opportunities that silver provide that are very unique. Gold provide that are very unique. It's safe haven, but you're positioning you and your family for real long-term generational wealth.
And I should say the number 18778 silver and the website guildhallwealth.com.
Exactly.
And if you did want to get some smaller quantities, why not go to guildhallpreciousmetals.com and you can see what the pricing looks like and pick up a few small bars, maybe a tube of silver maples, and at least get some exposure to the market and at least you'll have more interest in the market and you'll see how it goes and then take it from there, especially for building wealth. And that's something I wanted to quickly touch on. A lot of people say, what do I buy? Do I get gold? Do I get silver? My opinion personally, gold is really about preservation of wealth. It keeps up with inflation, beats inflation. It is money. It is a store of value. It's got the history behind it. Bury it in the ground for thousands of years, pull it out of the ground, turn it into a belt buckle, keep walking along. It is a store of value. Now, silver, I look at more as the opportunity. It's so cheap. I mean, look, gold's trading at, if you want to buy an ounce of gold, it's $2,400 Canadian, give or take. If you want to buy an ounce of silver, it's $33. Again, you can't even buy a butterball turkey for $33,
Yeah.
But you can buy an ounce of silver for that. Okay. So, what is the potential? And the potential is it could go to $600. It could go higher. If cryptocurrencies, which have a function, let's say, but actually no innate value, And anyone can call me. I'm happy to argue this with you and debate it. And if you want to do it on air, I'll debate it with you. The fact is, it has no innate value. It doesn't have that intrinsic value that you can dig it up out of the earth 2,000 years later, right? Not need electricity to plug it in for it to be worth something. Hey, Jerry, here's a USB with $1 million on it. I promise you it's got crypto. I promise you. Do you want to take it, or do you want the gold?
Yeah. Do you remember your password for that USB?
No.
I'll take the gold.
Okay. So this is what we're talking about. It's going to be a dynamic market. The market could go way higher than anyone thinks. And the fact that there's a limited supply of it means that the market could go no bid.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably my biggest concern. But again, silver is more about making money. And I think that opportunity is there. So take it. Yeah. Take it. The time is now. The price is still down on the year. We're very, very lucky. Every day, I'm just like, oh, thank God it didn't jump yet, you know? And because I kind of feel like the day that the market really starts to run, I know what those days feel like. You know what they're like here too. You kind of sit back in your chair and you just go, what am I supposed to do today? You know, there's nothing I can do. We got everybody into the boats. We got everyone we could into the boats. That's it.
Yeah.
Any last final thoughts?
Well, that is our promise. As Jeremy alluded to, we will sit with you. This is our promise. Whatever you are looking to do, whether it be a large purchase or if you want to start small, we'll tailor something that is right for you and your family. It's not a waste of time. You're more than a number, at Guildhall. Get to know us. We will treat you like family. You will treat us like family. And get that physical silver, get that physical gold today. We can't stress it enough. And it's really an honor to have the listenership, you guys listening every week in and week out. We know that you own metals already, but I think it's incumbent now to share this news. If you know someone who can benefit from having some gold and silver, or who don't own any gold and silver, knowing the risks and the contagion risks out there, another '08 crisis, another 1980 type run is in store for precious metals. These cycles happen, and they happen quite quickly. So they want to be as well positioned like you are. So share this information, share our phone number, our website, guildhallpreciousmetals.com. And it's that simple. Jeremy.
The number 18778 silver and the website guildhallwealth.com. Buy it direct. Buy it and store it. Buy it, get it into a registered account like an RSP, a TFSA, a LIRA, a LIF, a RIF, RESP. We do it all. Physical. You own it. So happy you could join us this week. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to speaking with you next week here on The Real Money Show on Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.